What happens when you combine the development expertise behind the fantastically fun Bayonetta series with the nostalgia-inducing transforming super robots of the 1980s? You get Platinum Games' Transformers Devastation.
Transformers, robots in disguise.
A hack-and-slash action game that came out in 2015 during the PS4 and Xbox One era. I don't think it made quite the splash they hoped it would on release, and with licensing deals long since expired, it's largely been forgotten to history. Which begs the question, does it deserve to stay in the trash bin of the past, or is it a lost gem worthy of rediscovery? If we were dealing with some random for-hire development studio, I'd expect Transformers Devastation to be nothing more than a soulless cash grab meant to squeeze out any profit it could from the nostalgia of the franchise. However, this is Platinum Games, and they don't mess around. The first Bayonetta came out in 2009 and its sequel in 2014. Transformers Devastation arrived just 1 year after Bayonetta 2, meaning they had the time and know-how to produce quality action games with stellar combat. But did they bring their A-game to Transformers Devastation, or just pump something out to cover their bills? Let's find out. A Transformers video game isn't exactly where I'd look for a compelling and original story, and Transformers Devastation lives up to that very low bar. Things start off with Megatron doing what Megatron does, causing citywide mayhem and destruction in order to fulfill his ultimate plan, to return home. With the use of some super energy-ified MacGuffin, Megatron's evil scheme is to terraform Earth into a new Cybertron.
No way.
However, not all is lost because we have the Autobots to protect us. We have Bumblebee, we have Sideswipe, we have Wheeljack, we have Grimlock, which I found funny but cool, happy to see a Dinobot representing, and of course, leading the charge, we have Optimus Prime. All of them together ready to roll out and kick some Decepticon butt.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
And now the real question. Did Platinum Games bring the good stuff in terms of gameplay to Transformers Devastation? In short, the answer is yes. The controls are tight and the hack-and-slash combat is excellent. It very much lives up to the Platinum Games standard. You can combo up a storm, parry and dodge attacks, even perform special moves that deal devastating damage. Apparently there's an ample set of combos you can perform per Autobot, but the in-game tutorial only taught me a couple basic ones, and when I tried to open up the electronic manual to see if it had an official moves list, I ran into this. Another reminder that if you don't have it physically, you don't really own it. Heed this warning, Sony fans, for 2028 is coming. Despite not knowing the complete moveset, I still had fun with the few combos I was able to pull off. You can't call it a Transformers game if you can't, transform. Fortunately, each Autobot can swap at will into their vehicle mode or Dino mode in Grimlock's case, accompanied by that sweet, sweet sound. While in their alt mode, your movement speed increases and your combat moves change to fit the new form. You lose agility, but the increased speed can make you a hard target. And if you tactically swap between modes, you can pull off some excellent combos. Along with the combat system and alt modes, Platinum Games added in an entire weapons, stats, and tech upgrade system. It's pretty legit. You can level up and upgrade the base stats of your Autobot, like strength, speed, intelligence, and more. You can equip different weapons and even upgrade them through a synthesizing process. And if that weren't enough, there's also tech chips you can create via a little minigame that can boost all sorts of stats when equipped. The weapons and upgrade system makes for a pretty involved set of tweaks and modifications you can apply to your favorite Autobot, but it's kind of overkill for a game that lasts about 6 hours, at least on normal difficulty. It almost feels like this system was intended for a larger game. I played around with upgrading a few weapons and building a few tech chips, but I feel I only scratched the surface of what eventually could be unlocked. All the Transformers in Transformers Devastation look pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
From Megatron and the Decepticons to Optimus Prime and his Autobot pals, they all look like their classic 80s selves and are brought to life with a nice use of cel shading. My only nitpick on the Transformers' appearance is that I wish they leaned into the cel shading a bit more. They used bold outlines to make the bots look like drawings, but they also used textures liberally to mimic highlights and shadows of the metallic surfaces. But in the cartoons, the metal surfaces were more matted with highlights used sparingly. I think if they would have copied the cartoon style closer, it would have made the great visuals look even better, at least to me. The levels all do their job and look pretty good for the most part. My only complaint is the variety is pretty slim. The entire game takes place in cityscapes or spaceships with a couple moments in space. This simply could have been due to the short length of the game, but the homogeneity was palpable. Lastly, I can't speak about the game's presentation without mentioning that Platinum Games brought back a few of the OG voice actors to play their Autobot and Decepticon roles. It's really great hearing their voices as the story unfolds, and only adds to the 80s cartoon come-to-life vibe the devs were going for. When it comes to the overall gameplay, there's a lot to love about Transformers Devastation. Heck, ranked against other classic franchises turned into games, it'd easily be at the top, maybe even number 1. But I'm comparing it to Platinum Games' other series like the aforementioned Bayonetta and the action-packed Vanquish. While the combat in Transformers definitely holds its own in the Platinum Games arena, I do have some qualms that took away from my overall experience. First off, each Autobot you play for the most part plays the same. They do have different stats and slightly different combos, so it's not exactly one-to-one, but I never had to switch Autobots to complete a level because it required some special ability or Autobot exclusive skill. And having them all play similarly isn't necessarily bad. It's how many side-scrolling beat-em-ups work. Just choose the character you like the most and battle away. But the upgrade system forces you to choose which Autobot you want to apply the upgrades and weapons to, which means once you get one of them equipped and upgraded to your liking, there's a lot of resistance to change to a different bot because you'll lose the updates. Now you can move the weapons and tech chips to different Autobots, but it's a manual process that makes it annoying to do. I don't think the game needed individualized upgrades and weapons. I feel the upgrade system could simply have been universal, so you'd only have one weapon set and one tech set to manage, and then you could swap Autobots whenever you wanted just for kicks. Either that, or make the Autobots play uniquely such that different levels require different bots, and then keeping their upgrades individualized would have made more sense. And secondly, we can't play as Decepticons. Since the game's campaign is so short, it would have been cool to play the other side of the story. They could have still had Megatron's plans fail. I'm not suggesting they needed to make a dark ending, but it would have been fun to play as Starscream or Soundwave and use their abilities too. All that being said, I still think it's a fun game to play and a particularly great Transformers game, so I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. Platinum Games once again proved they know how to execute when it comes to tight controls and exciting combo systems. Transformers Devastation is another showcase of Platinum Games hack-and-slash bona fides. You can give them any property, any premise, and they'll hook it up to a solid combat system that puts most action games to shame. I had a fun time playing Transformers Devastation, and I'm happy I tracked it down on eBay and secured a copy. If you're a Transformers fan or just a fan of Platinum Games, I recommend you hunt down your own copy and give it a play. It's a great game to have in your collection. However, if Transformers isn't your thing, but you are looking for some good action coupled with some late 80s and 90s charm, then maybe Platinum Games' next project will suit your tastes, because I know I'm looking forward to it.